indication if Mr. Waters would be so kind enough to do that for us.
Absolutely. Let's bow our heads. Lord Jesus, for you many blessings, Father, Lord, we come to you tonight in your name, Jesus. We pray, Father, Lord, that you be with us tonight as we meet. Lord, ask you give us the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding to go to this meeting and do the right things for our citizens of this great community that we live in. Lord, what you've done for us and what you're going to do in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And we'll start with the first item on the agenda, which is to accept the agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda? Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Second, King.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor?
King, aye.
Thank you, Mike. All right. The agenda has been adopted. So next on the list is the vote for the FY 2020-2021 budget. We've had our public opportunity. Did we receive anything, Zach?
No, I'm not aware of any comments that were received after the meeting on Monday.
Okay, well then I will entertain a motion to adopt and approve the budget for FY 2021 that was presented.
I'll make the motion to adopt the budget as presented fiscal year 2021.
Thank you, Steve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Don. Do we need any discussion?
Yes, King. I got
Sure.
a couple comments. When we talked about this, Commissioner Martin at the last meeting raised a question is on this hybrid officer, which is Michael Bishop, serving both as a code enforcement officer and a part-time or a regular police officer on a full-time basis. He said the question was raised in front of the board is if he leaves, does our staffing remain at 7? And I wasn't totally clear on that answer. But the other question is, if an officer other than Mr. Bishop leaves, does the staffing change? And I don't know that we were clear on that.
Zach, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think it would be if Mike Bishop were to leave, it would be difficult to fill somebody in a hybrid capacity to do a dual role like that. So I think that would be difficult to fill because it is kind of a unique circumstance. However, if another officer does leave, I would anticipate that the number would still stay at 7.5. I think in that circumstance, that would be a little bit different. But with filling the hybrid position, because it is a unique position, if that position was vacated, I wouldn't anticipate that would be filled. But if any of those other positions were vacated, I would anticipate that those would be filled with a regular police officer to maintain the current staffing levels as presented in the budget.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's 7.5 if one officer leaves, and it's 7 if a different officer leaves. Is that, if I got that correct?
Yeah, so if the hybrid position was vacated, I don't think we could necessarily fill it like a hybrid position. That would be difficult to hire somebody who had that those dual expertise in that role. However, if any of the other officers left, any of those 7, then we would fill that just as we normally would for an authorized position in the budget.
Okay. Well, with regard to the budget, I have a prepared statement I'd like to make. Sherry, if you're there, I'll send you a copy of it afterwards, but it's got a lot of detail in it, so I'm going to read it rather than just speak off the cuff. So if, with your permission, Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead. I guess this is my time.
Yes, sir. You go right ahead, Mike.
For many years, I've been politely critical of the town's ever-increasing spending, which consumes are modestly increasing revenues. This continues to happen despite the fact the town has not gotten any larger or provided any new services, and our population has increased only modestly. In 2021, the budget on the surface looks pretty good. We did not increase our tax rate, while some of our neighboring towns had increases. We did not see a huge drop in revenues due to COVID-19, and we made a remarkable recovery from Hurricane Florence, largely due to the efforts of our town manager. We kind of held a line, so everybody should be happy, but I am not. I have for many years been critical of the dollar amounts we spend in public safety. It seems that each year, when we get a small increase in our revenues, it is consumed by new needs in the police department. This delays spending on street improvements, drainage, and improvements in park and recreation. In some years, it was a staffing increase in the police department. Approximately 10 to 12 years ago, the town funded a SRO officer in a county school, and we have paid the lion's share of this cost for many years, while only having about 22% of the student population in the school. This is a county school and a county responsibility. Some years it is new cars. In the 3 years prior to seating this board, we purchased 6 new police cars in a 3-year span. Last year, we added a K-9 unit, while the county has 3 fully trained K-9 units, which we pay for with our county taxes. This year, it was proposed to go to leasing police cars so the department would have new vehicles approximately every 4 years. This amounts to turning them over at about 50,000 miles. Fortunately, we voted this down by a 3-2 margin. A police department report recommended staffing of the department at 13 officers, 4 less than the city of Morehead City. Finally, this budget proposed a hybrid officer which handles both police work and code enforcement. This increased police department staffing from 7 officers to 7.5 and down from 8 officers in the original proposal. I am in total support of the hybrid officer. However, it can be accomplished with our 7 officers. Let me take a moment to provide a few statistics in support of my position. The national averages of police officers per 10,000 is about 16 officers nationally. Our population is 21 to 2,200 people, and we are proposing 7.5 for this forthcoming budget, well above the national average. The average police department spending for fiscal year 2021 as a percentage of their total budget in the towns of Indian Beach, Swansboro, Emerald Isle, Atlantic Beach, Beaufort, Newport, and Morehead City is about 20.4%. In Cape Carteret, it is 35.3%, and we have very little crime. Most of our arrests are people passing through our town. We have not been below 30% of the budget since 2013, and we have been as high as 43.6 in 18-19. If our police department spending just averaged what the other area towns average, we would have an $86,000 surplus to spend elsewhere, or we could reduce our taxes by more than 2 cents. Our 3 neighboring towns have no police departments. Our police budget is $576,000. It was my intent at the start of this budget process to reduce tax rate of our town by 1.25 cents, the amount we were not able to eliminate in last year's budget. This won't happen. It has been consumed by the police department. Our town is not crime-ridden. If there was a way to rate towns' public safety, I'm sure Cape Carteret would be at the top of any list anywhere. My comments this evening are directed not at the police department or any of its officers. They have done their job well. My criticism is directed at this board and the many preceding boards that have approved spending well beyond our need. Police department spending has become the sacred cow of our town, and our roads, infrastructure, parks and recreation, other programs suffer as a consequence. Going forward, we have to address long-term needs such as our yard debris removal program, water access, street repair, capital improvements, and new equipment. We should not be paying for anything on credit. Our spending on parks and recreation is a minuscule 1.6% of the budget. These programs cannot be funded without cutting something or raising taxes. It is for this reason I do not support the forthcoming 2021 budget. I'm likely the only commissioner who has not supported an annual budget. It is the gentlest form of protest I can muster and born out of my long frustration and inability to redirect and control our spending in this town. Cape Carteret is one of the very last towns with water access on the Atlantic coast that citizens with modest means can afford. It is my hope that we can keep it this way for the foreseeable future, but that will require change. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Anybody else? All right, with no other comment.
I couldn't hit my microphone button quick enough, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I just want to make one quick comment. I understand Mike's frustration. He served his town for 20 plus years. And part of what he's saying is true, but at the same time, matter of fact, a lot of what he's saying is true. But at the same time, I personally am very happy with the way this budget is going. I see it addresses everyone's needs. It addresses every department's needs. We're able to give raises where raises are due. And there's no such thing as a perfect budget, which I think Mayor Fowler harped on that every time we ever had budget meetings. But I personally am satisfied with what we had to do and the way we did it.
All right, any other comments? If not, then we'll just put it to a vote. All in favor of approving the budget that was presented, please raise your hand. And all opposed.
King, no.
All right, then that carries 4-1. All right, next is the vote on the Pamlico Sound Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan that we had. Zach, do we have any public input on that?
No, we did not receive any input after the meeting on Monday.
All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve that.
I move to approve the,
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Don. Any discussion? With no discussion, I'll ask all in favor. Please show your hand.
King, aye.
Thank you, Mike. We heard you. All right. And that motion passes. And next up is the adjournment, but I just would like to give all the commissioners another opportunity if they'd like to say anything, either about the budget or anything in general. I'll start with Jeff. Jeff, if you've got any comments you'd like to make.
With this being my first budget, sitting on the council of Cape Carteret, I understand Mike's frustration. Have I not been through quite a few of these budget hearings myself, being the department head of another town? I understand, but I do know there's going to be shortcomings here and there with other departments. That being said, if you understand me correctly with this, but the stuff that's going on in our world today, it's not only going to get harder and not easier for towns to come together and move forward with the spending of the monies correctly in the way we need to spend. I know it's very important that we spend our money carefully because we're representing each one of the citizens of Cape Carteret, and we also need to be mindful of what we do. It's not what we need to do, it's what we need to do for our citizens and our community as well.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Jim, you have any comments?
Nothing to report.
All right, Steve?
Yeah, once again, I want to make it clear that I do understand Mike King's frustrations with budgets in the past. He certainly got a long history from this town. I don't take anything that he says for granted. He's a mentor of sorts. He's a walking encyclopedia with things that's happened in this town. He has his feelings about everything, and as we all do. But I would like to remind Mike that the strides that we have made in the last, this is my third budget, and the strides that we've made in reeling in the expenses of not only the police department but all departments, and still being able to maintain services for our citizens, giving raises and bringing our employees up to par with the rest of the towns. It's not an easy task. But again, I'm satisfied, as I have been. This is my third budget. The first two were a little bit more in depth than what we had this time. But I'm happy with what we came up with. I think it serves the town citizens very well, and that's all I've got to say.
Thanks, Steve. Don?
I'm actually going to just kind of repeat or echo some of what Steve has already said. There's no such thing as a perfect budget. In every budget year, we have to make compromises. And I think we've done that this year to the point where every department in this town is taken care of the way that they need to be taken care of in order to do their job going forward. And we've got the raises in there for the people that need the raises, the COLA increase. I think we've taken care of the town employees. We've come up with a balanced budget, and all in all, I'm happy with the budget going as it is going forward. I believe this town's headed in the right direction.
All right, thank you, Don. All right, Mike, you got anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, I do want to say, after having sat with so many boards, this board has probably been the most enjoyable to work with that I've had. I have been able to dialogue with each and every one of the commissioners and the staff, and spend lots of time with our town manager. So the quality of these conversations has really been helpful, and it's probably been the best of my 21 years serving the town. So, but my words tonight were based on frustrations over the years of trying to, keep this town affordable for the small guy. And sometimes I see it getting away from us. And that I'll just leave it at that. But I have enjoyed this board, probably more so than any other board that I sat on. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. And I'll just say that I've worked for towns a lot. Being on this side of it is completely different. But I can't say enough about our staff, our police department, our administrative staff, our public works. They do a great job with what we got, because we are a small town, and it can be very frustrating to try to get things done in a small town with the small budgets we have. But anyway, I think we did a great job, guys, with not being able to do it face to face and having the time crunch we had to get this done. I think it's a good budget. We didn't raise taxes. I think we'll see the county do enough of that for us, coming up with some of the stuff they're proposing. But I think in this next year, there were some things I'd like to have seen brought into this year's budget, but just couldn't really work it out. I think we'll be able to save some money going in the next year's, the following budget, with some innovations that I hope are going to come to light. And we'll be able to save some more money and present a little more services. I think the main thing here is just keep an open mind on a lot of things, and just can't, like I said, just can't say enough about how honored I am to be here with you gentlemen and in this wonderful town, and that I call home. And the police department, I tell you, I said that the other night, and it is just, just my heart goes out to the great police officers who are doing a great job. And it's just so sad that in our society, we tend to let a few bad apples, break it down for everybody. But hopefully we can all have a conversation about this and we can support our policemen and let them know they are appreciated. I think sometimes just to throw your hand up and wave and let them know you're smiling and you appreciate them, that goes a long way with everybody. So thank you, STAC. Thank you to all the staff. I sure do appreciate it. And thank you, gentlemen, for serving your town. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Somebody that can.
King, aye.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, ladies, y'all have a wonderful evening and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.